Apple has been coming up with similar looking iPhones every year since 2014, with only minor internal changes since the iPhone 6. But not this time. This is the iPhone 10, a change so huge for Apple, they went the whole one more thing route to announce it. Apple basically reinvented the iPhone this time around. But the question is, does it live up to its $999 price tag? Well, let's find out. Hey guys, this is Akshay from Revisão.com and this is the iPhone 10, Apple's brand new flagship, Apple's answer to the galaxies, the essentials and the mixes of the world. So what's this iPhone like? Let's find out. Before we get started, make sure you hit the bell icon to get notifications for all our future videos. Now that you've done that, let's take a detailed look at the iPhone 10. I've been using the iPhone 10 for almost a week now, but when I first unboxed the phone, it was a rush of excitement. What with everything I'd seen and heard about it all year long. But nothing could have prepared me for this phone. I opened the box and sitting there, the iPhone 10 looked absolutely stunning. A device that no picture or video had ever done justice to. Believe me when I say, this phone looks a million times better in person than it ever does in any video ever. Period. The design is stunning with a beautiful white glass back, a stainless steel frame, and that oh so beautiful display. The very display that is marred by a notch on the top, but I'll get back to that. First, let me stress that the iPhone 10 is fragile to the point of being the most breakable phone ever. It's not meant to be a strong device and you will have to put a case on it. But what I was really interested in was Face ID and whether it worked as good as Apple advertised it. Plus it's the only biometric authentication available on the iPhone, so yeah, I set it up the moment I got it. Setting it up was easy, and the haptic feedback the iPhone 10 gives when it completes a scan was very satisfying. Then came the real test, and well, Face ID is honestly not bad. Sure, it's not nearly as fast as Touch ID was, but if it's a question of moving Touch ID to the back or removing it completely, I'm sorry, but remove it, please. I can't stand rear-mounted fingerprint scanners. What I love about Face ID is that Apple's implementation is very close to perfect. It unlocks properly even at weird angles, and over the period of the last few days, I've observed that it unlocks seamlessly while I'm pulling the phone out of my jeans pocket. Not just that, Face ID works even in pitch black rooms. Where it doesn't work is with twins, something you can see in a video on the iPhone 10 Face ID twin test. Coming back to the notch, it's really something I would like you guys to experience. We have put together this great thing so you can get a feel of what the notch actually feels like on the iPhone 10. Might I just ask you guys to please rotate your phones into landscape mode? Great. Now let's get a notch somewhere around here. Yeah, that works. The notch isn't something that's excusable on this phone. It's something that's always there, always staring back at you while you use what is otherwise a beautiful device. But where it annoys the most is media consumption. I played some games on the iPhone 10 and this is what they look like with the notch. Notice how part of the game is cut out? And in games like Asphalt 8, the notch is very distracting. Same is the case with Shadow Fight 3. I'm a big fan of this game and it looks amazing on the iPhone's display. But that notch, that's just bad. If you remove the notch, well then things look great again. But alas, the notch can't be removed from the iPhone 10. If there is a silver lining to all of this, apart from the frame of the iPhone itself, it's that the notch is something I got used to in everyday usage. Making calls, sending texts, the notch doesn't come in the way. But watching videos and playing games is not something the iPhone 10 will make you happy with. It's a shame because the iPhone has a display so good, it's kind of meant to watch videos on. I mean, look at the screen. The blacks are deep, the whites are divine. DisplayMate went as far as to say that the color reproduction on the iPhone 10 display is visually indistinguishable from perfect. That's some high praise right there. I would have loved to watch Netflix on the go on this display, but the notch makes it a less than pleasurable experience. It seems as though for every good thing, the iPhone 10 has a bad one and vice versa. Because as much as I hate the notch, the front camera on the iPhone 10 is pretty good. True depth sensors are not a marketing gimmick because the front portrait mode on the iPhone 10 is impressive. However, the Pixel 2's front camera performs much better than the iPhone 10. We took some samples from the iPhone 10 and from the Pixel 2 and this is what they look like. And that's not even all the front camera does. It's also responsible for animojis. Now, animojis are really the definition of a gimmick. But I spent my first day with the iPhone X just making animojis. So here are some that I made. Check them out and don't judge me.
Am I out of my head? Am I out of my mind? If you only knew the bad things I like, don't think that I can. I don't wanna live forever, 'cause I know I'll be living in pain, and I don't.
Luke, I am your father.
It's not just the front camera though. The iPhone X has a dual rear camera module with dual OIS this time and a much better telephoto lens than the iPhone 8 Plus. I can keep talking specs, but I'll let the pictures do the talking. I took some shots with the iPhone X and with the Pixel 2. The iPhone X has a great rear camera, but it's not as good as the Pixel 2. A phone that, by the way, costs way less and has just one rear camera. Like I said, my first day with the iPhone X was all about the camera and animojis. However, in everyday usage, I tend to click less pictures and play more games. I used the iPhone X extensively and I realized that in making a bezel-less phone, Apple removed the home button. And by doing so, Apple changed the fundamental way we interact with our iPhones. There are gestures all across the device, and I'm not complaining about most of them. Swiping up to go home is easy. Swiping across the bottom bar to switch between apps is more convenient than even Android's implementation. And swiping down for reachability works great. It's mostly the buttons that annoy me now. Long pressing the power button brings up Siri, not the power menu. The power menu is accessible by long pressing the power button along with the volume button. It's just not intuitive and it's not what I expect from Apple or from a $1,000 phone. I played a lot of games on the iPhone X solely because I knew the A11 chip could take it. And take it does. AR games like Zombie Gunship, no problem. Casual games like Stack AR, no issues. 4K HDR video playback, you get where I'm going with this, right? The iPhone X is an absolute beast when it comes to performance. However, I did notice that it heats up quite often. And that is something I think will be quite an annoyance in a country like India where the summers get super hot. After an entire day of using this phone extensively, I did charge it for a while. Well, quite a long while actually. The iPhone X has a decently good enough battery, but man, it charges slow. Apple skimmed out on the charging and didn't pack in a fast charger with the iPhone X. It's a $1,000 phone, Apple. Get it together and put a damn fast charger in the box. With the charger Apple does put in the box, it took me around 90 minutes to bring the iPhone X to just 60% of charge. It's torturously slow. The iPhone X also supports wireless charging, which works fine, but I'm not a fan. I prefer using the lightning cable to charge it. Fun fact, the iPhone X has really great optimizations, but it lost almost 15% of its battery overnight. I compared that to the Pixel 2 and man, that does more. The Pixel 2 lost less than 5% of its battery overnight. Oh, and one more thing. To be very honest, iOS 11 isn't meant for the iPhone X. It's meant for a normal 16:9 smartphone like the iPhone 8 or the 8 Plus. On the iPhone X, the iOS 11 experience feels like an afterthought, like something Apple just quickly built to not be like Google and ship a phone without the OS in it. Jokes aside, iOS 11 on the iPhone X isn't what I expect from Apple. It's not simply magic, it doesn't just work, and I expect a lot from Apple, and iOS 11 just fails at it. To conclude, I think the iPhone X is a great attempt at making an amazing smartphone, but Apple does need to work on it a bit. There are things that the iPhone X does extremely well, like the display and the performance, no complaints there. However, there are things that make it feel like Apple either didn't test it properly or simply doesn't care as much as it used to about user experience. After all, Apple is famous for being extremely nitpicky and polishing features to perfection, and the iPhone X just doesn't give that feeling in a lot of places. Either way, I'd not ask you to skip the iPhone X. Get it if only for the amazing camera, fun animoji-like features, excellently implemented Face ID and more. And for anyone complaining about the price range, the Note 8 also costs $950. Flagship smartphones are just approaching that price range now. The iPhone X is, in my opinion, the best iPhone you can get this year, and much better than a lot of Android flagships as well. Well, that was our review of the iPhone X. So what do you think about it? Do let me know in the comment section below. Also, give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing tech videos. That's me signing off. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.